Funny. The always hilarious Miss Calise Hawkins. Calise, thank you for joining us.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Hi, Calise.
Hi, how you guys? Good to see you guys.
You too.
Calise, you have, if I'm correct, your first comedy album coming out, right?
Yes, midnight tonight. Calise Hawkins is 40 AF.
Awesome. So is there a happy birthday in order to, or are we 40 now? Is 40 coming out?
I was 40 the day I recorded it, February
40
28th.
on the day of the recording. Awesome.
When did you turn 40?
February 28th.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. I turned 50 on the 13th, and so it's a milestone year for me as well. I didn't record an album. I didn't do that.
Well, congratulations on 50.
Aric also just put out his first album this year. He did
special. Yeah.
You did what?
What's that?
You did what?
I was going to record this year, obviously, because this is about the time you do that, right? And then this all hit, and I can't get in a club, and I can't imagine doing a comedy album now that isn't about the virus. You'd have to incorporate so much of that. So I just went back to some old clips. We had done a documentary film, so we had filmed a lot of stuff on set. So it's not the best production, but it tells a story, and I think it gives a good idea of what stand-up's like. But I put it out 2 weeks ago, and people are buying it. So yeah, I'm happy with it. It's just old footage.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, I can't wait to hear it. I heard you put a few things out already, right?
What do you mean?
On a few teasers from your album already.
Oh yeah, they had these things called instant gratification tracks. If you pre-ordered on iTunes, then you could hear 3 of the tracks early,
cool.
Which I think is so funny because I'm like, I would rather be able to hear it and then decide I don't want it. Not you buy it and then you can decide if you got something you don't like.
Well,
Calise, you looking good in that photo on the cover.
I mean, right? That's
Where did
me.
that
That's
come
all
from?
Me. Honestly, I think there's also a Jameson bottle in that shot. And so I came there with clothes in a suitcase and then I took them off.
Jameson?
That came from a Jameson. Jameson is my smiley drink.
Jameson.
Like, look at how I'm looking. Like, I wasn't even posing. She just caught me reaching for the fucking cup. Literally. A lot of my shots from her photo shoot was just her. She kept shooting as I was falling into the abyss.
Like we showed it on the, you didn't get to see it. If you did, we're not broadcasting live. We had some technical, so we're recording this. We're going to post it after we're done. But on the picture, you have this big teddy bear. We use that for the intro video. Has that where you're holding a teddy bear, like the teddy bear is holding you. So
I'm so happy you said that. That teddy bear has been missing since this shoot. I'm pretty sure I left that teddy bear at that girl's house.
Oh no, is that your daughter's?
No, it's mine.
Oh, okay.
But it has since been replaced on, why did he replace that? What happened after my 40th birthday? Oh, because the photo shoot happened in December. So on my 40th birthday, my boyfriend replaced that teddy bear with a brand new teddy bear.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, I found a good guy for me.
He knows what's important. So where can we get your album?
It's on iTunes now for a pre-order, and then it'll be everywhere at midnight. Like, you just Google it, it'll be everywhere.
Okay, wonderful.
Amazing. So, Calise, I want to ask, because you've been doing comedy for a while now. When did you start doing comedy?
2004. This is like almost 17 years, like 16 and a half years. It's crazy.
So why wait that long for a first album?
Finally, somebody feels comfortable enough to say that to me. I've been saying that on every interview, but like, you know how you're fishing for somebody to tell you something the opposite. I was like, I feel like I waited too long. And they'll say, no. I definitely waited too long, but it's just my journey. It's a personal journey. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, my comedy career is heavy in the writing, and I get stand up where I can get it. You know what I mean? And then when it comes to me, I have a daughter, so I have had to cancel shows. I haven't been able to go on the road. I couldn't do the traditional like road comic thing to build up my stand-up routine enough that I felt comfortable. And so every year that passed, I had like a brand new version of my jokes that kept. I don't know how to explain it. Like, I have every year of having a daughter, right? And
Right.
who wants to hear a 15-minute set of me going, and then when she was 3, and then when she was 4, and then she was like, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I have no idea why I didn't do it earlier besides fear. And I'm still afraid. I'm like dreading midnight. I'm scared that it comes out and people hate me.
No,
That's
I'm
wild.
excited
No.
for it.
I gotcha. I gotcha.
We were
You saw
talking
that,
about
Jeff?
this earlier.
I sure did.
I got him. Because what happens when it comes out, people don't want me? And no.
You ain't right. You know what you're doing.
It's
We
truly
were
the voice
talking-
in my head.
We were talking about this earlier. We kind of compared you to Teddy Smith, how you guys are both acts. I've watched you kill like every set for the past 10 years in New York. And 10 years ago, you could have put out an album. I've seen how the materials adapted and changed. But you guys, you do a lot of, I know you do like a lot of stories on Instagram, and a lot of it is with Asia's your daughter, right? Is that how you say it? Asia?
Yeah, Asha.
Asha, like that.
Did Teddy put out an album? Does he have an album?
I don't think so.
I've asked
So
Teddy
I'll tell you now, when you put it like that, here's what I think it is. Teddy is actually very brilliant, right? And he's very funny.
You are as well, Calise.
Well, I can say this through Teddy, and I can't claim it for myself, but you'll hear what I think it is. When you get ignored by, I don't know, gatekeepers for long enough, you don't know when you're supposed to self-start. If you're funny and you think somebody's gonna care, then you're shooting yourself in the foot. Because you're funny, you have to just care about yourself. You have to just put it out yourself, and that's what I finally did. I was like, I need this. Honestly, one of the main reasons I finally decided to record the album was just so I could have like merch, and I was gonna go on the road because my 13-year-old kind of kicked me out of her heart, and now I don't feel as guilty leaving her. And so I figured I would have something to hand people, because I get really nervous that I'm gonna run out of money, and I always run out of money. I'm always right.
Well, I know right now, like if you had road stuff planned with lockdown, that has to make it more difficult.
For sure.
I wanted to. This was a different, just because we brought up your daughter now. How just another thought that how does having a child change your comedy? So you started before her, and now while she's grown up, I'm sure like your humor has changed as she's been in the home. Is it how do you see that impacting the material and what you find funny?
It becomes a focal point because she's all I do, all I know. I don't get to go to bars like I used to. I don't get to socialize the way I used to. I have to be a little more stable as a parent. So a lot of my interactions are just with her, And if I have, let's say for me, like if I have like an interesting or odd interaction with a friend, I wouldn't even feel comfortable. It would be such a random occurrence at this point that why would I joke about it? It would feel rude. You know what I mean? Like, and everybody's talking about dating. Everybody's talking about, I'm not dating. I'm not like hanging out with guys right now. I just have my one boyfriend. I always have one boyfriend. It's not the same boyfriend, but it's always only one. So I wouldn't say that my sense of humor changed, but the focus of my humor has changed.
Nice. How so?
Well, because I'm talking about the kid. I remember when I first started doing it, when you're kind of new in comedy, a booker or whoever can kind of get away with saying any kind of thing to you. And I remember somebody saying, enough about the kid. Nobody wants to hear about the kid. Right. And then like within a few months, Louis C.K. came out with all these kid jokes, all this kid humor. My kid's an asshole. I was like, I've been saying that. I've been saying the kids are assholes.
That's all I talk about. I mean, like, when you said something, you said that your 13-year-old has kicked you out of her heart. And I think that's a really funny line. Unless you've had that experience, you really don't understand. Because I have a 20-year-old and an 18-year-old. And we were talking about a lot of this stuff going on in the world right now. And all I said was, I think my experience is broader. And the two of them came at me like, broader? You think your experiences are broader? I'm like, girls, I can turn your iPhones off right now from my iPhone. Okay? The cars you're driving are the ones we bought, right? And I've had financial ups and downs, divorces, all these different things you go through. So I'm not saying your experiences aren't valid or important, but they're not maybe I might have had a few more, but now I've also got a 10-year-old, and that's really why I brought that up, because it's like she's crossing over to that, to that early teenage years already. And I'm trying to work out material. The only thing I can think is like she's still on my side. She will still hold my hand when we walk around town, but she will tell me we're going the wrong way. That's
Well,
what
and
with the little one.
I was also going to say, going back on what Calise was talking about, there's definitely an entertainment and ageism thing when it comes to women and not men. And there's definitely you never hear about like a washed up dad, but you hear about like a washed up mom, or it's a totally different ballgame. And I don't understand why it is, but it is. Aric, you're going to get away with it like way quicker than somebody like Calise is going to.
It's Calise. You're attractive as well, Calise. Like the cover outlet, it's still hot. It's still a hot picture.
I guess.
But if so much of the time, so much of the focus on the kid, do you feel like that was part of why managers would be like, nah, don't just go up, just be cute, like? But the material when you're talking about your daughter, it's so much more you, so much more like heartful and I think impactful and easy to connect.
I think at the time it just wasn't, because a lot of the industry is ambulance chasers. They will look for a product that's already out there and then try to recreate that same thing that was already making money. They're looking for always the next same thing. And I don't think there were any moms doing comedy, like since Roseanne, you know what I mean? So
yeah, that's a good point.
I think that it was, and then Nick Mom came out and I got hired by them to write their lists. So having the child actually led to most of my writing. It gave me the experiences I needed, and it started making me marketable.
It's awesome. And have you
wait, 1 year, like during that year that I had her and I started talking about her, that's also when mommy blogs blew up. So the timing was everything.
Oh, it's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
That's so cool. It's such a blessing. I was going to ask, and so throughout that, it sounds like that it opened up like a whole market, a whole new avenue of work and a whole new audience there. So did you feel any pressure at any point? Like, I don't know if you've worked with Amy Schumer before, but I remember seeing Amy when I first saw her at Broadway, and she was so clever, and I think your act is so clever. And then when she got on Comedy Central, they just went so narrow and deep into just do sex material. And she was so much more than before. Did you felt any of that pressure?
I'm not sure that was external pressure. That could have been her liberating herself. Like, you always have to consider that could be internal, because just like you seen WAP.
Of course. I brought it up to them earlier. They didn't know what it was. Of course, yeah, I do. I'm there with you.
Okay. So Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion. So
he's what Jeff was just okay.
Yeah.
He says stuff sometimes about music, and I'm like, what? I got a Waylon Jennings shirt on. I don't know.
Give me
some
more
holes
context.
in this house. There's some holes in this house.
Yeah, Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion, they do a sample from an old song about hoes, but it's just women in this video. So what you have to see, your first thought could be, oh, they're exploiting themselves for the industry. But then what you'll have to notice, the change is there are no cars in the video. There are no men pimping them out in the video. It's just a celebration of their own sexuality. And it's kind of like in their face. So here's the thing that you might not realize. In comedy, they also told us not to talk about sex. They also told us not to talk about our vaginas, not our periods. And they also use it against us. They say all female comics talk about is their pussies and their periods. When it's like, why wouldn't we talk about that? And no, we're not all doing that. So there's like so many like errors to that thinking. So I wouldn't think that Amy Schumer got pigeonholed into that content. I think she kind of liberated herself and she got free. She got allowed. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. So whenever people, tonight at midnight, whenever people are listening to your album when it comes out, what can they expect?
I talk about mental health. I talk about my alcoholism. I talk about, obviously I talk about Asha. I talk about my kid. I talk about having a kid. I talk about dating. I talk about men and women. I talk about homophobia. I'm anti-homophobia, just so we know where I stand.
Where that at?
I'm pro-trans lives, but I also talk about being a middle-aged woman who is trying to learn how to respect trans women and trans men because it's new for me. Because like I come from a generation where when I was a child, like if I wish I would have given you this picture, but I had little short curly hair and I had big thick glasses and I always wore my brother's hand-me-down. So kids would call me a little boy to insult me. They would call me gay to insult me. So when you're assessing a person, there's a mental thing I have to do to check to make sure which thing won't hurt their feelings. Because I don't want to call a young girl a they if she just is going through a stage that she's not sure what she identifies with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't, because I went through that. I went through that bullying.
I feel like comedy, like doing stand-up, especially doing it in front of live crowds, really helps you to make those assessments because you start understanding like, on a nightly basis a room full of people's sensitivities, and you can see when someone walks up on something, and you can learn like, oh, okay, this is something they're comfortable laughing about. This is something they're comfortable talking about.
I actually had an experience where I added something to my joke about trans women or trans children because a person came up to me afterwards and said that it really hurt their feelings that I was joking about it at all because it's new, it's fresh. But I was like, but even though I'm saying I'm on your side and I'm trying to figure it out as a middle-aged woman, that bothered you? And she said, yeah, I just don't even, it wasn't comfortable for her to be joked about at all. So I just added perspective that I'm middle-aged and that, like, you know, when my grandma was addressing me at this age, she could never come up with my name. And so if I'm trying to get to, like, if my grandma goes through a list of names, like Rachel, Carol, Leah, and she never gets to my name, that's the same thing as me going, gender. There's only a few genders, and I really want to say yours.
You're trying. You see the person. You care about the person, but
I care so much, and I understand if somebody's offended. I understand if somebody feels upset, but that's not my intention, and I'm willing to work harder. I'm willing to work harder than how I upset you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, how am I saying it? I will pick up the slack on where you're at and your PTSD of however you were treated. I will do that, but give me recovery, give me a chance. Like if I already even know you consider yourself they, and I still get it wrong because I didn't see it, because I'm just used to naming something, or I did that one time on a podcast where I was so in love with the person, but I couldn't get their pronoun right, and people don't realize that they walk around doing this every day and dealing with this every day, but I don't run into their type all the time in my house or even in my lifestyle. I just like this sounds. Everything I say right now sounds so horrible. The way I'm saying it. Look, I don't run into.
It doesn't. Yeah, I feel
people.
like you're just a very sensitive or very empathetic person. So you might just be so. You said earlier, even part of like pointing out, I'm just like afraid to offend people or to not have your love be seen or to receive that love back. That you want to be on the right side. You want to show that you have that care and that connection with people. And it's difficult if they can't open themselves up to the conversation of it, if they don't give you the chance to express how you're feeling. And if you choose one wrong word in it, they're like, oh, now you're canceled. And now, I'd rather you just not even talk about it. Because that doesn't lead to progress at all, right?
It doesn't. I know that there needs to be a little bit of both. Safe places where there's some people who I can relate to and communicate with that will allow me to mess up, and places where people are upset that I messed up so that I can feel the change I need to have. Do you know what I mean? You gotta be smacked on the wrist every once in a while.
Well, and even what Robert's
What's up, Jeff?
even what Robert said about being canceled, it's like cancel culture is an issue. That started as a joke.
Right.
And now it's become like taken as a serious thing. And nobody should really be trying to cancel somebody.
No.
No.
Yeah, we all end up. We all start somewhere. When we're born, we're born. We didn't ask to be born wherever we were born. You're stuck there. You're there because it's your parents. I tease that I grew up in the whitest place in the world, and the only reason was because in the spring of 1969, my dad somehow convinced my mom to take her pants off in the back of his Chevelle, right? And boom, there I am 9 months later. And that's where I grew up. And I grew up in a very white area, very Christian, without any other types of religions around. And so that's your mindset for the first 20 years of your life, basically, or 18, unless, and then eventually you get a chance to move, meet people, and you experience different cultures, different religions, different races, backgrounds, and you evolve and you start learning, and it becomes something outside of just what you've heard passed down or what you see on a television show. And I think we need to have a little more empathy for people who want to grow and learn, but have just been isolated. And that person could live in Latham, Ohio, or Bushwick, for that matter. It doesn't matter. It's where they were put, and that forms who they are. And when you open your heart and you learn about others, then beautiful things can happen. But you have to have some sort form of empathy for that person who's making that journey to improve and to learn and connect.
Yeah. And education, because like, think about it. Like, we learn about all these different cultures from all these different timelines in a history book while we're in school, but they don't include many gay or trans people in the education. Like, I mean, I obviously they don't include Black people except for 1 month, but I was just thinking about the book, and it's not like they were telling us the history. I don't think I learned about, what's it called?
Nobody knows about the Stonewall Riots or anything.
Stonewall Riots.
Yeah.
I found out about that on my own. Yeah. I actually did some research when I was working for Aisha Tyler's show, Unapologetic. And when I had to do an article, a segment about Pride Month, I looked into Stonewall and I went down a rabbit hole. I was like, this is fascinating. And now I'm stuck on, I binged all of Pose, and now I want to rewatch Paris is Burning. It's like a fascinating thing that nobody knows about, that is just happening. And people go, if I don't put it on TV or in a movie, they can act like it doesn't exist. It's very strange.
No, people talk about rioting now. The rioting for that change was out of control.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what worked.
And also just even the discrimination within that group. That Stonewall bar group was for trans and for minorities because they didn't have a place in the gay world. So they kind of spearheaded gay rights with that riot. Did you know that? It gets real deep. Like during all those protests back during that time, the lesbians and the gays were wearing like gender appropriate clothing. They didn't want to stand out too much. They didn't want to push too hard. But then you got trans people who were like, but I'm not doing that. I don't register as that. So pretty interesting stuff. And I know a lot of Black people don't equate the struggle, but I feel the struggle is a very similar struggle with mine. I feel it all the time. I think anybody who's been bullied has a very similar struggle. It's like, it's basically oppressors versus the oppressed at all times.
100.
Well, Calise, thank you so
delighted.
much for coming on. I hate to cut it short, but we started a little late.
Oh, no, it's fine.
We have 2 other guests I want to get to join. But I think that right there, like what you were just able to share with us, I think that's what people can look forward to in the album. It's something that can be very fun, can be very silly, but there's always deep thought and a lot of love behind it. And I really appreciate you sharing that with us. And if people want to listen tonight at midnight, how do they find it? How do we find the album?
Just Google Calise Hawkins. It's 40AF, and you can download it on anything that you subscribe to, Spotify, iTunes, whatever. I'm also having an album release thing at 11. If anybody wants to come hang out and say hello. I don't really know.
Where's this? Are you doing it on Zoom or where?
It's a virtual album release. Like if they go to my Instagram,
Okay.
oh god, it's like a lot of. They're gonna have to find me.
Well, no, it's fine. I mean, I hope, I'm asking actually for myself more so than for the audience.
Oh yeah, if you go on my Instagram, I posted about it a few posts ago. You click on 3 Ladies on a Vine, and they have the Zoom. They have the Zoom posted somewhere.
Yeah, wonderful. And I want to say, Calise, too, thank you. You've been on our live shows before, and it's, when you find New York City comics who've been doing it for a long time, and they come on, because we try to do a mix of having, veterans, and then we have a lot of young comics who beg to be on, come on to be on the show, and and whenever we're able to put them on a show with someone like you, it really helps them, and we appreciate what you do for the people in the comedy.
Oh, thank you. I enjoy looking at new comedians. I enjoy seeing new senses of humor. I like it. I like to see what kind of personality, how you express yourself in comedy with from a certain perspective. How authentic can you be as that guy or that girl? I love that.
It's a great process to watch young comedians to try to find out who they are and what, because I think one thing I've found about new comedians is they aren't, sometimes what is really their, I guess, best opportunities to be interesting and set themselves apart and to be legitimately funny isn't what they're trying to do at first. Like at first they're trying to mimic whatever they think, or they're trying to fit into what people think, what they think the industry wants, but then they end up finding their own voice that can be unique. So it's a great process, and you've been helpful with that, and we appreciate that so much. And good luck, everybody. Hopefully you sell them all out, and you have to print more. Isn't that a weird thing? Like back when we used to have CDs, we'd have to print them out and sell them and go get more. But now we can. They're unlimited. But let's go get.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh yeah, this is part of our show. This would, matter of fact, this should just be the show.
Awesome.
Great.
Miss you, Calise. Good seeing you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Good seeing you.
All right.
Take care, you guys.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.